Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our live spreadsheeting demo. Okay, today you're going to watch me work in Google Sheets. I'm going to talk through everything I'm thinking, even the mistakes, because that's how real spreadsheet users learn. All right, now let's open this up. Okay, so this is my blank spreadsheet. Now, first let's start by exploring the grid. Okay, let's have a look. I can click here, I can click there. Okay, each box has an address because when I click here I can see that there's a column highlighted and a row highlighted. Okay, so these letters are the columns. If I click on each letter, it highlights that whole column. Perhaps we should put this in light mode. There we go. So these columns highlight the whole column. If I click on the letter itself, if I click below it, it's just a cell. Okay. And so columns go downwards and rows go across. So if I click on our number, it highlights that whole row all the way across, not just one or two cells. And if I click on a cell or two, I also get, what is this? Oh, it's because I'm open here as well. Let's close that down. Okay. That was interesting. Where it was highlighted was someone else was on my spreadsheet, and that's where their last click of the mouse was, in that previous cell. Okay, so when I click on a particular cell, it highlights the column for me and the row so that I can see that the address of this particular cell is cell D10. So if I click somewhere else, so this would be cell B13. So the letter comes before the number. All right. So spreadsheets organize information, do calculations, and help us spot patterns. Okay, let's see if we can do some work on those things, but let's cover a few things first. Okay, A10, is that A10? No, I've clicked on the wrong cell. That's A10. Okay, it's absolutely normal, okay, to miss the cell that you want, but addresses matter. Okay, navigation errors will occur. Where you want to click must be exactly the right cell you want to work on. All right, let's start doing some stuff. Let's get the days of the week in here, shall we? So Monday. I go down to the next box. Tuesday. Let's keep going. I go down to the next box using the arrows on my keyboard. Wednesday. I can also press enter and it takes me to the next cell below. Thursday. Friday. Saturday. And Sunday. Ooh, who can spot an error there? Anybody see that? Yes, I have misspelt the word Saturday. However, spreadsheets are very, very easy to fix. All we do is we go to the right cell and we can type it again, Saturday, to get the correct information in there. All right. Now what we're doing here is data entry and a bit of formatting. So let's look at how we can do that. Let's make Monday bold. How do I do that? If I double click in there, I can highlight part of it and then click bold. What will that do? Well, that will only do the part that I've highlighted. If I click away from that, now what happens if I click on the cell, don't double click and just get the whole cell and then click bold? Ooh, the whole thing is emboldened. Fantastic. Okay, what else can we do here? if I wanted to align the words into the center of the column, so each cell, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the word would appear right in the middle, not aligned to the left where it currently is, nor aligned to the right. How would I do that? Okay, so remembering from earlier that we discovered clicking on the letter highlights the whole column. If I do that, this button here allows me to choose where the alignment is. Do I want it aligned to the left? That picture shows me that. Do I want it aligned to the center? Oh look, and if I hover and don't move my mouse, it'll tell me what it does. And if I hover over this one, it says that I can align it to the right. So let's go with the center align. Ooh, very nice. And just to test it out, let's see. That does certainly align it to the right at the bottom. So let's go with the center align as we wanted. Okay, spreadsheets are also useful. Well, they're useful for many things, but let's start looking at some formulas. Some work that we can get the spreadsheet to do for us rather than us having to do it ourselves, or something that we can get the spreadsheet to repeat for us a number of times without us having to do that manually for each individual one. All right, let's go into cell B1, which is this one here, B1. Let's type in equals 5 plus 3. Now, what do you think will appear when I press enter? Do we think it's just going to show the formula that I've written there, equals 5 plus 3, or is it going to show us the answer to what 5 plus 3 is? What do we think? Yeah, I think it's going to show us the answer as well. Let's have a look. Boom. There it is. It's given us the answer. 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, and if we click on that cell and look down here, it's that formula that is the code behind this cell. The number 8 has appeared because we put this formula in there, equals 5 plus 3. Okay, let's do one more. Let's pop it right here, shall we? All right, so let's have 10. It matters if you have numlock on your keyboard. All right, let's do that again. 10 minus 4. Enter. Oh, what's wrong here? Why didn't it calculate it? Anybody have any ideas? Let's have a look what we did in the first one. So hang on, let's click on this one again. It's even treated, if we look at the bottom in the formula bar, it's even treated it as a date, the 10th of the 4th. And let's click back into cell B1 that we managed to get it to work. Looking at the formula bar here, we've got equals 5 plus 3. That's exactly what we typed in. And clicking back on C1, we know that we only typed in 10 minus 4. What is the difference between 10 minus 4 and the formula down here, equals 5 plus 3? Can anybody tell me? Yes, indeed. It's the equals at the beginning that we're missing in our formula here. So let's do that again. Let's get rid of all of that. And let's start by typing equals 10 minus 4. Now let's press enter and see what happens. Not very good. Okay, so let's fix that issue first. Now, if we remember, Sheets was recognizing our mistaken entry previously as a date. And Sheets is very clever. It's like Microsoft Excel, very clever. They do things automatically for us. And it seems to be recognizing this as a date again. So let's fix that first, okay? And that is a format issue. So let's click on this and bring up formatting. Okay, now let's have a look. What options have we got here? Okay, so these are the different format options. Formatting as a currency. So if I did that, it would probably display the numbers, like a certain value of pounds, and it'll put a decimal place and a certain amount as pennies. That's not what we want. Okay, so let's see. This one gives us more formats. And automatic is what it was on previously. So if I click that, hopefully, there we go. We've got 6. The answer that we were looking for to 10 minus 4 as a number. Okay, so what we can do, and the way that we can check that we've got the same format of the cell, is that we can go to the previous cell that we had working, check the format there by clicking on format again, going down and format cell what we currently, oops, sorry, not that one, scrolling down, checking what we have here, and it's currently ticked as automatic. So long as we have the same format of cell in the one that we were working on last, we should get the same type of output in that cell. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is perhaps demonstrate that one more time, that what we need to do when we're entering a sum, 15 minus 3, for example, is put 15 minus 3 is make sure that we put our equals at the beginning, equals 15 minus 3. Then when we press enter, we will get a numerical output. And if we've made a mistake and made Sheets think that we've changed what we want in a particular cell to be outputted as a date or currency or anything else, we would go back into the format options and select the correct type of format that we're after. Okay, let's just clear that last cell. Okay, so we're now going to deepen our understanding with regards to cell references, okay, using a bit more formula work. So what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to enter the number 10 here in cell B2, and I'm going to press down on my keyboard, and I'm going to enter the number 15 in cell B3. Now in cell B4, I'm going to do a formula. So we know we've got to start that with the equals sign. And then I'm going to write the address of that number 10. The location of this cell is cell B2. So let's type that B2. And I would like to add it with the contents of cell B3, which is our number 15 in cell B3. So let's go B2, looking at the formula bar here, plus the contents of cell B3. Okay, let's press enter and see what happens. Way, it's added them together. The 10 from B2 and the 15 from B3 add together nicely to make 25. Okay, let's try something. Let's try changing the value that we put into cell B2. Remember down here we've asked it to add the value what's saved in cell B2, so the contents of B2 and B3. So let's change what we had in B2 from 10. I'm going to change that to 20 now. And what's going to happen when I press enter, particularly in cell B4, where we've done the calculation of what's stored in B2 and what's stored in B3. So we've updated what's in B2 to 20. What's going to happen in cell B4 when we try and ask it to add the contents of B2 and B3? Any ideas? Okay, let's have a look. I'm going to press enter. Whoa, did you notice it changed? From 25 to 35. And this is why spreadsheets are so powerful. One change can update the whole system. So just to cover what happened there again, previously we had, if I undo it, we had 10 plus 15. If I look here in cell B4, we asked it to add the contents of B2, which we know are 10, and the contents of B3, which we know are 15. 10 plus 15 is 25. And then what we did is we updated what was in B2, if I go forward there, to now contain the number 20, and for B3 to contain the number 15. And if I click on the box where the output is, where we put the formula in, the formula has not changed, but as the value got updated in B2, the result of B2 plus B3, so what is now 20 plus 15, has come out to 35. Excellent. Okay, I'm now going to start looking at autofill and pattern recognition. Okay, and I'm going to start by creating a small table. So what I might do first actually is put my information or my data in the cells. Okay, so let's have a heading here of item, and let's have a heading here of price. Okay, I'm still navigating using my arrow keys on my keyboard. Okay, so let's have a few items. Let's have pen, let's have a pencil, and let's have a ruler. Okay, let's give a price to that pen. Let's say £1. Oops, go back to where we were. Let's put a price in of £1.20, so 1.20. Okay, let's go to, oh, and look at that, it got rid of the zero, just 1.2. That's all the information it needs. If it was to do any calculations using 1.2 instead of 1.20, it would be absolutely fine and the result would come out the same. Not a problem. Okay, so pencil is going to be 0.50, which is 50p. What's going to happen when I move to the next box? What is going to happen with that zero on the end? Let's have a look. Yep, very good. Okay, and the ruler is going to be 0.80. Have we understood the idea now? It's going to get rid of the zero on the end and shorten it to 0.8. Okay, let's make that look a little bit nicer. Let's highlight these cells and let's give it a border. Let's give it an outside border. In fact, let's give it all the borders. Okay, so now if I click away from there, we can see that there's a nice border around each cell. We can even do such things as, if I highlight that again, make the outside a specific type of border or style. So if I click on that and I'd like a thick line on the outside, if I go back and then I tell it I want that to be just on the outside, looking at the pictures, I could pick whatever I want. This is the bottom, this is going to be the top, and if I hover my mouse over it, it will tell me what it is. Okay, so we wanted just the outside with a thick line. If I now click that and then click away, there, it's done it for us. It's just put a thick border on the outside. All the rest of the dividing lines are as we had previously set them. In fact, I'm going to copy that, just the cells I need. I'm going to clear my whole spreadsheet. Okay, so we're working in one nice, easy place. Okay, let's do that. Let's highlight these. And I'm going to hold. And eventually get an option to delete. Here we go. Okay, so let's put that back here. Okay, so I copied it and pasted it. So I highlighted it. As you can see here, I right clicked and I copied it. And then wherever I wanted it, so just here for you. And you'll notice when you've highlighted it, it's kind of got a dotted line around it. So I know what's been highlighted. And then I can either right click and press paste, or I can do Control V and it will do it for me. Oops, where are we? Here we are. Okay, now let's go to cell C2. Let's type a formula in here. Okay, equals the contents of B2 times, which is the little star sign, and the number 2 after this. So what am I asking it to do? I'm asking it to find what's in B2, which is the price of our pen, and times it by 2. Okay, let's press enter and see what happens. If this works, we should have 1.2, which is what's stored in cell B2, times by 2, which would be 2.4. Let's have a look. Boom, fantastic. Okay, now if I click on that cell, which has got this formula in it down here, B2 times 2, remember the equals at the start, okay, equals B2 times 2. If I grab on this corner here and I drag this down, can you see the dotted lines? Okay, what do we think it's going to do? Oh, Ooh, it's done something. Let's do that again. If I grab that, so let's get that corner. Oopsie daisy. Here we go. We've got the cross on it. If I drag that down, like so, just as far as there. Oh, it's done something. What has it done? What can I do to find out? Any ideas what I can do? It must have applied some formula somewhere. What can I do? Any ideas? Yes, if I click on the cell, I can look at the formula bar and it will tell me what it's done. Okay, so this is the first one where we typed it in. It's done B2 times 2. So it's gone 1 to the left, which is cell B2, and it's times it by 2 and put the output here. So if I click in the next one down, hopefully, there we go, there's a formula. So it's done the same thing. It's now gone 1 to the left, it's gone for B3, and it's times it by 2 again, which is what we did in the first cell, and given me the answer here. So presumably if I click here, it will have gone 1 to the left, which would be cell B4, and it will have times it by 2 again and given me the answer here. And I know that 0.8 times 2 is indeed 1.6. Let's have a look. Yes, it's done that. B4 times 2 and given me the answer there. So does that mean that whatever I put in this column here, if I drag this down, it will times it by 2 and put the answer there? Well, let's have a quick look. So if I put the number 10, oops, done it again. Let's go back to where we were. If I put the number 10 in here, okay, which is one column to the left of the column that we're working in, okay, and I drag that formula, that corner of that cell where we wrote the formula here down so that it's in line with the cell that I've just filled out, and I let go, will it double it and put it in there for me? Who thinks yes? Who thinks no? Just out of curiosity, let's try it. Oh, it did indeed. And there's a 0 there, obviously, because there's nothing in there. So 0 times 2 is still going to be 0. But again, that's the power of spreadsheets. Using a formula, it's done all that maths for me without me having to do it myself. Okay, let's get rid of those last 2 bits that we put in. We're seeing how formulas are working here really nicely for us. Okay, let's undo that last bit as well. So we're just here. Okay, let's move on. Now, let's make this a practical example, okay? Let's pretend that someone is buying 3 of our rulers and they're at 0.8 or 80 pence each. Okay, now the price of my ruler is in cell B4. Okay, we're going to get the spreadsheet to do some maths for us, okay? So our example is someone is coming to buy 3 of our rulers and the price of the ruler, once again, is in cell B4. Okay, let's do some formulas to get it to do the work for us. All right, so we know we need to start with an equals, okay? And previously we used cell B2 for our math, so let's go again with B2, okay, which has highlighted this one for us, which is not the price of our ruler, it's the price of our pen. But let's go with it anyway, and let's carry on. Let's see if it works for us. Okay, so B2, our customer has bought 3 of them, so I'm going to times it by 3. Okay, and let's press enter. Okay, 3.6. Let's think about that. So someone has bought 3 of our rulers, which are 80 pence each. 80 pence times 3 would be 2.4. They would have spent £2.40, not £3.60. What did I do wrong? The data that I wanted was here. The data I wanted to use was from here. What did I do wrong? Looking specifically at the formula bar, what have I done wrong? The data I needed was in cell B4, and looking at the output, I used the data in cell B2, which was the price of our pen. And just to cross-check that, 3 pens at £1.20 each would actually be £3.60. So the mistake I've made is instead of using the data for somebody buying 3 rulers, which was found in cell B4, I instead used the data in cell B2 and times that by 3. So can anybody tell me how I would actually update this formula to get an answer to what zero point 0.8 times 3 would be? I think if I changed this and asked the spreadsheet to get the data, and look, it very, very handy, look, that it highlights the cell in pink that I've asked it to point to. Can you see I'm pointing at cell B2, which is what's in the formula bar there. So now if I change that to cell B4, that's what I want. I want 0.8 times 3 because that corresponds with the price of the ruler. Okay, let's see if that works. Remember, 3 of those should result in 2.4. Let's have a look, enter. Oh yes, wonderful. Okay, let's carry on. Now, let's try and work a little bit more on our formulas. Okay, let's see what we can do. If I double click, and remember our formulas start with an equal sign. Let's do B3 plus, plus, okay. If I do B3 plus and press enter, okay, I want to add B3. Oh, it's given me an error. Why is Sheets confused? What's gone wrong here? Formula pass error. Let's have a look at the formula line. Okay, what does this read? If we read this back, equals, so we're asking it to do a sum. B3 plus what? Okay, so that's why it's confused. I haven't given it anything to add to B3. I told it I want it to add B3 to something, but didn't give it what I want it to add to the contents of B3. So the contents of B3 being 0.5, let's add the contents of B4 to it as well. Okay, so let's add it by, not by typing 0.8, but by typing B4. So now it's going to add the contents of B3 and B4, hopefully, if we've done that right. We should get an answer in this box. Let's have a look, in this cell, sorry. Boom, 1.3. Fantastic, that worked. Okay, let's see what other things we can find out here about our formulas. Okay, if I change one of these prices and I put speech marks around it, what do we think is going to happen? So looking here in the formula bar or looking here in the cell where I've typed it and I press enter, what do we think is going to happen? Oh, we've had an error here. Function multiply parameter 1 expects number values, but speech marks 0.8 speech marks is a text and cannot be coerced to a number. So what is that telling us? It's telling us it's text and you can't do maths on text. Okay, so let's go back and see if we can fix that. Let's remove those question marks, and what we'll learn from that is we cannot do maths, sorry. If we put speech marks around it, it's not going to see it as numbers. We can't do the maths on the text. Okay, it's got to look like this without speech marks around it. Very useful to know that. Okay, so a little recap on what we have learned so far. Okay, spreadsheets are very powerful. They can do a lot of things for us. Why do we think people use spreadsheets instead of doing things by hand? It's a fast and efficient way to calculate a bunch of sums or data, or create and organize a lot of information in a way that we can work with it and get it to do a lot of work for us without us having to do it manually ourselves, like where we added the contents of one cell to another. And it's also very easy to update the information. For example, if this was a shop and the price of pens had to change, we don't have to go in and change the formula in the boxes where we have the output. We could just update the price of our pens. So it's very useful as a tool for a lot of people in a lot of different situations. But that's not the only circumstance. There are loads of circumstances and situations where spreadsheets would be so useful for so many different people. Okay, and lastly, just to show you something really cool, if we had a few numbers, let's go. Maybe a little bit too big. Okay. In a column, for example, and I highlighted them, spreadsheets can also do something really interesting, like turn them into a chart for you. A really nice visual representation of some data done for you. Okay, I hope you learned a few things about spreadsheets today and enjoyed the demo.